Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Shots Fired podcast. It's your boy, Two Trill.
And your boy, Big Joe.
And we hope you enjoy.
And now for another episode of Nothing But Netflix. This week on Nothing But Netflix, we bring to you The Perfection. Story of two girls attending a prestigious music school. One named Charlotte, one named Lizzie. They happen to cross paths as Charlotte is on the way out, having to leave to take care of her sick mom. Lizzie's coming in. In those 10 years leading up to their reconnection, a lot has changed. Charlotte's kind of given up her musical aspirations to take care of her mom. Lizzie's become the star student, and she's, become just this superstar. You see Charlotte, once her mom passes away, you see how much it really meant to Charlotte, because immediately she goes back, she tries to reconnect with the school, reconnect with the leader of the school, whose name is Anton, and you see her try to reconnect and try to, I guess, fall back into that program. She sees that Lizzie has now become the star, and you immediately feel this tension of almost anger, some type of resentment towards Lizzie for having taken that spot, and you can see a bit of jealousy. What happens after that? They do reconnect a little bit. They start to form a bit of a relationship. They go on a trip, and the movie, while it starts out slow, builds pretty quickly right about the middle of the movie. That's when everything goes to hell in the handbasket. You see these crazy visuals. You see all these crazy events. And it sets in motion this huge web of just crazy, crazy activity. What'd you think about it, man? What'd you think? What was your thoughts on the movie up to that point?
The movie, to me, was a decent movie. It started out pretty slow. It took me a while to get into it, but once I got into it, it turned out pretty good.
It's a thriller. There's not a lot of action. Later on, it picks up, but again, it's not a lot of action. It's suspense, thriller, somewhat horror, but not over the top. But like I said, just some of the visuals that you see. One of the things that I thought was cool the first time I saw it, but then I was like, okay, now you're just kind of falling back on it, was that flashback sequence that they had to kind of backtrack, kind of let you know what the events were that led up to where they were at that time. I thought it was really well executed the first time, but then, like I said, they just kind of fell back on that. What'd you think about that?
Yeah, it kind of seemed like they relied on it, but the first time they did it, it made sense to kind of show you exactly, what happened that led up to the point. Overall, I would definitely recommend going to check out the movie.
Without giving away too much of the plot, the girls take this road trip. Some things go down. And what you think is, once you think you have it figured out, like, okay, this makes sense, this is what's going to happen, you get hit with a couple of twists at the very end that I didn't see coming personally.
Me neither. But
I thought they were really well executed. I thought, hey, man, that's pretty smart. So for me as well, I would definitely recommend it. I wouldn't recommend watching it with someone who may be squeamish. I wouldn't recommend watching it with your kids. But if you have a couple of hours where you can just unplug, unwind, and enjoy a good little thriller, this is the movie for you. Again, it's called The Perfection. So now that we've gotten through with our Nothing But Netflix segment, we're going to take a quick second. We'll come back and we'll get started with the NFL. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Shots Fired podcast. We're about to get into the NFL, and what we're going to discuss is Todd Gurley and the recent news that came out about him having arthritic knees, how that affects the Rams and their hopes to repeat as the NFC West division champions. I say it doesn't really affect them. It may slow them down a bit. Tafari says, you know what, that spells out a new team to take over in that division. So let's talk about it, man. What do you think about that news that came out about Todd Gurley?
I definitely think that the arthritic knee is going to be an issue for the Rams. I think that it is going to hinder what they're able to do because so much of their offense is centered around Todd Gurley. So worst case scenario, he gets injured, they don't repeat as division champions. I'm saying the division is won by Seattle.
So I understand that you kind of have that. You have this mindset of everything goes through Gurley there in L.A. He is a very vital piece to that organization. I agree with you 100%. But L.A. has so much firepower that, yeah, Todd Gurley not being there would suck. But it's
what is their firepower?
They have 3 good receivers there, man. They have 3 good receivers. Tyler Higbee as a tight end came out really well last year. But you have Brandon Cooks, you have Josh Reynolds, and you have Cooper Kupp. And Cooper Kupp was tearing it up last year before he got hurt. If he comes back healthy, the other guys come back healthy. You have 3 other guys that you have to focus on. You cannot solely come into a game saying, you know what, we take out Gurley, we're good, we're winning this game. You cannot do that unless you have a top 5 defense. If you have a top 5 defense, you may be able to pull that. But the rest of the league, 90% of the league, they don't have that top 5 defense. So, to me, Gurley having this issue, I think it's something that they've known about for some time. It just became public to us. So I think they kind of know that, hey, yeah, he's got this condition, but it's not necessarily something they didn't know before. And so I think McVay's going to make some adjustments to lighten that load for Gurley to make sure that they can keep him healthy, keep him out there on the field, and maybe take him out on third downs and give another guy a chance to take over for him. So to me, you look at Gurley and the injury that came out, it just became public. I think the Rams have had knowledge of this for some time. We just haven't. So for the Rams, I don't think it's anything major. I think they knew about it, but they still gave him all that money. He reset the position as far as salary goes, and I think if he's done it this far, he's succeeded so far in his NFL career. I don't see it slowing him down now.
Well, I definitely have a different take. My take is that this is going to be a major issue for the Rams. I mean, we saw him have a limited role in that.
Though that's what I'm saying. It's
right, but
it's a condition he's had. We just didn't know about.
But we saw what happened during the NFC Championship game, during the Super Bowl. He had a limited role in both of those games.
Right.
C.J. Anderson was primary.
Right.
So my take is we just learned about it. However, obviously, we saw at the end of the season it became more of an issue. If that same issue rolls into the new league year, is your sentiment going to be the same with Rams winning that division?
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying is.
Well, let me take you here first. So, I understand that you're saying the Rams have an explosive offense. Tyler Higbee, Cooper Kupp, and the rest of those guys out there at receiver,
and they have a top 5 defense.
On paper, is yet to be seen this year. But last year they did, they have a pretty good defense. I won't question that. My whole thing is that Jared Goff, he's a pretty good quarterback, but I still think he's questionable. We haven't seen him without Todd Gurley.
Right.
And I don't think Gurley is going to play a whole season. I'm not wishing injury upon him, but I think this knee issue will become a bigger problem for the Rams going into this new league year.
Yeah, I mean, the verdict is still out on Jared Goff. Is he the guy that was under Jeff Fisher? Is he that quarterback? Or is he more the quarterback that showed up when McVay showed up? I think McVay is going to do everything he can to prepare his team to game plan with Gurley in the lineup. And if they don't have him, he'll make adjustments to still put his team in a position to succeed otherwise.
Yeah,
I think it kind of caught him off guard last year. You know, the injury to Gurley was a little more severe than they anticipated. I think that by the time all that hit him, you know, you don't have a lot of time between rounds to prepare. And so you saw it from when they played us to the time they went to the Super Bowl.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, at that point, you now know, hey, Gurley's hurt. New England knows Gurley's hurt. And Bill Belichick makes those adjustments because now he knows, hey, we don't have to really worry about the backfield. We can worry about those three.
Exactly.
But, again, how many teams have the ability to do that? Bill Belichick's defensive mind, one of the greatest in the NFL.
So my thing is that I think Seattle got better. I think that with Gurley having this issue with his knee, like, let's be honest, arthritis, it doesn't go away.
Right.
So this is going to continue to be a problem. And, yeah, they could do load management, but, again, Todd Gurley is exactly what Ezekiel Elliott is to the Dallas Cowboys. I think that if you pull Todd Gurley out that offense, you have an entirely different team. I think that the NFC not the NFC championship game, but the divisional round versus the Cowboys, that was a one-off situation. How many times do you think we're going to see the primary and the backup rush for 300+ yards?
Right.
So obviously they don't have C.J. Anderson anymore. I'm not sure who they have as backup, but I think with this arthritis problem with Todd Gurley and his knee, it's going to become an issue for the Rams, man. And I just don't see them winning that division this year, especially if he, for whatever reason, doesn't play.
Yeah.
Because he had a limited role again, like I said, in the Super Bowl, the championship game. Who's to say that he's going to come back, especially after a short layoff? Like, he didn't have as long as everybody else had that didn't make it to the Super Bowl. That time to rest.
But just like you're saying, hey, you know, the Rams are one-sided. They're not necessarily one-dimensional, but they are Todd Gurley reliant. I think the same thing can be said of the Seahawks. The Seahawks rely heavily on Russell Wilson. They had Carson and Penny running the ball last year. They were the overall top rushing attack team.
Number one.
But when you look at it, if you can focus on shutting down the run like the Cowboys did, what do the Seahawks have? What's their primary target? Who's the big threat outside of you know, Penny and Carson? I don't see their defense being better than the Rams' defense. I don't see their offense being as explosive as the Rams' offense. So I don't see how you can sit there and say, hey, well, Seattle makes more sense unless, as you said, Todd Gurley gets hurt. If he's not hurt, if he stays healthy, it's not even close.
My sentiment is that in Russ we trust. We've multiple times seen him make something out of nothing. So I've seen him throw to receivers that we don't even know their name, but he make them look good. Yeah, Doug Baldwin retired, but I don't think him retiring will be a major loss. Honestly, if you ask me, they're going
to try to fill him in with DK Metcalf. I think that's his name, DK Metcalf.
Yeah, DK Metcalf.
But everything I've seen and heard so far is he's green. He's not NFL ready. And, you know, yeah, he's a big body target, but he's not anything that we need to really be keeping out for yet. It's not to say in a couple of years he won't develop, but Russell Wilson doesn't have a lot outside of his self. Like,
I mean, but has he ever had a lot?
Yeah,
outside of
he
himself,
had
other
the
than
Legion
Marshawn,
of Boom.
other offensively,
he had
offensively, other than Marshawn
Lynch, beast mode.
Yeah, outside
You know
of
what I'm saying?
Marshawn Lynch, what else has he had offensively?
He's had the same group of wide receivers. He's had
Doug Baldwin
and Tyler Lockett. Those
he
have been
still
his
has
guys.
Tyler Lockett,
Those have been his guys.
but he still has.
But that's
Tyler
what I'm saying.
Lockett.
Is Tyler Lockett a number one?
Yet to be seen. But what
Well,
I'm saying,
no,
but
hell
what,
no.
but
Hell
what
no.
I'm saying
I'll
is,
answer that for you now. Tyler Lockett.
but
is
what
not number
I'm
one.
saying is that if I'm going to choose out of that division, and let me also say this, I'm not saying that overall I think that Seattle has a better team than the Rams. What I'm saying is who do I trust more?
Mm-hmm.
Is Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll.
So if Todd Gurley stays healthy, you still
Todd-
think Seattle's?
If Todd Gurley stays healthy, I think that it's going to be a tough competition for that division. But if Todd Gurley stays healthy, then I would have to say maybe I go with the Rams. But I'm leaning more towards the Seahawks due to arthritic knee, due to all the in and out pieces that they've had on offense. Because I don't think that I don't even know if Cooper Kupp is coming back this year.
He'll be there.
So
He called me. He told me.
he has your number.
I have his. I have his.
But yeah, man, overall, I'm not saying that Seattle has a better team, but what I am saying is I trust Pete Carroll, I trust Russell Wilson more than I trust Jared Goff, more than I trust Sean McVay. So if I take this arthritic knee at face value, I would say, hey, okay, maybe Todd Gurley's going to play this year, but I think he's going to have a limited role, especially with what we saw last year in the final part of the season. He barely played. You don't just get better from that. Now, of course, everybody's going to come out and say everything looks good.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm out here running like I'm brand new, like I got a new knee. But that's yet to be seen.
I mean, I can't wait for this season to play out just so that I can say I told you so. And I want you guys to remember this. I told you the Rams are going to win that division. We still have 7 more weeks to cover these 7 other divisions. But I promise you, bro, mark this one down. The LA Rams will win the NFC West, and Todd Gurley will stay healthy. Todd Gurley will be a top three running back in the NFL this year.
Well, I'll tell you this. Write it down. Take a picture. I'm not going to say that on air.
Can't say that. So, again, that's why I say Todd Gurley will be a top 3 rusher in the NFL this year. The LA Rams will win the NFC West, and you'll.
I'm not wrong on this subject, Joe. You're definitely taking the L. Seattle's winning that division.
Let the listeners decide who's right on this. Hit us up. Let us know. Just be nice when you tell Tafari he's wrong, okay? Just be sure to be nice. Drop a nice comment. Let him know, hey, you tried. Joe took that one. Keep up the good work.
This week on
What the? Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Shots Fired podcast. Getting into our WTF moment of the week. This week's WTF goes to LeVar Stinking Ball. What in the hell is going on with the Ball family?
he trying to switch gears with Molly Karam. That's what he trying to do.
My man's out here. First of all, Lonzo just got traded to the Pelicans. And he comes around and he's like, you know what? I always wanted my son to go to New Orleans. That's a good fit for him.
We know that's a lie because
that's a damn lie.
When Lonzo was drafted, he said, my son not playing nowhere but L.A.
Yeah, and then said the only way L.A. wins the title is if all three of my boys get brought to L.A.
Okay, let me let me go back to his Molly comments. LeVar, what the hell did you mean by Molly can switch gears with you anytime?
Yeah, so they're kind of having a conversation, and just as a transition, she's like, "Okay, it's time to switch gears." To which he responds, "Oh, you can switch gears with me anytime." Then comes back around. He gets banned from ESPN for that. Comes back around, and I think it was TMZ that interviewed him, and he's like, "Oh, Molly just has her mind in the gutter. I didn't mean anything sexual by it." It then said the only way I'd hit on her is if she was robbing my house and I mistook her for the boogeyman.
Yeah, he's way out of line, man.
He's over the top. I mean, I understand you're trying to, controversy creates cash, but man, there's a certain way to do it, and then there's just being out of line.
Yeah, he definitely stepped over the line, especially because one, Molly's fiance works at ESPN.
Her husband, Rose. They're married.
They married.
Yeah.
Her husband,
yeah.
Jalen Rose. So that could cause problems. Two, why are you telling a woman in this day and age on live TV
in this climate
that you can switch my gears anytime or switch gears with me anytime? Like, LeVar, sometimes you just got to shut the hell up, man.
Shut the hell up.
And back to him saying that he wanted Lonzo in New Orleans, we know that's an absolute lie.
Shut the hell up.
Because when he got drafted, you said, my son only playing for the Lakers. He ain't playing nowhere else. Come on, LeVar. We got clips, man. We have the clips.
We heard it all, man. It's all on tape. I feel bad for him. I mean, he went away for a while. And I feel bad for him. He went away for a while, and everything was nice and quiet. Lonzo struggled a little bit, but he was trying to find his feet under him in L.A. Then you had that whole trade controversy during the season. LeVar, he didn't make too much noise then. But now that the trade's gone through, he's acting like a jackass, man. And he's hurting his son's brand. He's hurting his son as a person, and he's making that whole family look bad.
LeVar is definitely good for headlines, and right now he's making some terrible headlines. Hopefully he gets his act together, man.
I mean, I agree with you. Not all press is good press. I mean, sooner or later, you're going to have to outgrow this. You're a grown man anyway. Outgrow this behavior. Show your boys what it is to be a good person, be a good man. And stop trying to get all this attention on you. It's not about you. You couldn't make it in the NBA. You barely made it in college. Give it up. Stop trying to live through your kids and just let it go, man. Let your boys do what they're going to do and just step back into the shadows and be a dad from the sidelines. Stop trying to be the playmaker. And for that reason, LeVar Ball, you get this week's WTF of the week.
In the 2019-2020 season, Joe and I are picking 4 games, 2 apiece, that we consider must-see games, must-see television, And I'm going to roll with two games that I think are stand out to me because of the players on each roster. And one of those games is going to be Rams at the Browns. What do you think about that?
Rams Browns, to me, that has the potential of being a good game now that Cleveland's made some of the moves that they've made in the offseason. Baker Mayfield has another year under his belt. And you have OBJ there now to go with Jarvis Landry. Their defense is pretty solid. You look at the Rams, again, we talked about them before. Firepower all over the field. Todd Gurley stays healthy. That's going to be a good game. So I can definitely understand why you picked that as one of your games. What about you, man? What made you pick that as one of your games?
So definitely I think that Baker Mayfield is a star in the making. We saw his capabilities last year. Then with the addition of Odell Beckham, I mean, it's like hand in hand now. You see some of the catches that this guy makes. Them potentially having Kareem Hunt come in maybe 4 games into the season or 5 games into the season. And then defensively, they have some stars on defense. Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward at cornerback. And then you take the Rams. The Rams have Todd Gurley. Hopefully he stays healthy.
Cooper Kupp,
Brandon Cooks. On defense, Aaron Donald, the best defensive player in the league.
Hands down.
So the way that I see this game is I see it being another Chiefs-Rams on a lighter scale because of the young talent on both teams.
Yeah.
I see also one of our picks were...
one of my picks, my first pick for must-watch game of the year is going to be the Steelers at Patriots. The reason why I picked that, I mean, it's game 1, week 1 for these teams. And to me, even though it's just the first game for Pittsburgh, in my opinion, this is a must-win game. You want to set the tone for your team. You want to start the year off right. You want to show everybody, including yourselves, that you don't necessarily need Antonio Brown. You don't need Le'Veon Bell to be successful. James Conner came in last year. He lit it up. But again, Antonio Brown was still there. Now that he's gone, let's see what Big Ben does. Big Ben has always pretty much in no uncertain words said, hey, this is my team. What I say goes. And so now he's kind of gotten his way. He's gotten rid of Le'Veon. He's gotten rid of AB. 2 of the killer bees are gone. So now it's more pressure on Big Ben like, hey, really, you push these guys out? What did we give up to keep you around? You know what I mean? So the Steelers gave up a lot to keep Big Ben happy. You look at New England. New England's at home starting out. These guys, all they do was win. And they're going to come out saying, you know what? Last year wasn't a fluke. We're going to compete again. We're going to win our division. And, we're looking to repeat for another Super Bowl. So, to me, big-time game of the week, starting the season, you couldn't ask for anything more there.
So I can definitely see that being a must-see game, especially with the obstacle that Pittsburgh faces every time they play New England, especially in the playoffs. They always have a hard time trying to win a ball game versus New England in the playoffs.
Mike Tomlin kind of struggles against Belichick.
Yeah. And then you think 2 Hall of Fame coaches, 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I would say that's must watch. I agree with your sentiment. Big man, you lost Le'Veon Bell. You lost Antonio Brown. You still have James Conner. You have Juju moved into the number 1 receiver role.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on Juju this year to see, hey, are you a number 1 or were you a great number 2 because of AB's presence?
Right.
Now he gets that coverage.
Right. So I could definitely see that being on the must-watch list. I hate that it's, the first game or in the first week of the season. I wish it was later into the season or maybe midway. But Steelers, y'all definitely have to overcome the hurdle, man. I know y'all struggle against New England. 2 Hall of Fame coaches, but it seems like the Steelers, they focus on offense. Patriots focus on the whole team as far as how they build their teams. Yeah. So I would definitely agree with that. I think that the Steelers, they have to come out, man, and try to prove that they're still on top of their own division, even though New England isn't in that division. But let's be honest, all the teams in the Steelers division, they got better.
Yeah.
So they may be second or third in their division this year.
Like I said, this is as close to a must-win game without it being a must-win game as possible. But moving on, what's your second must-watch game of the year?
My second one is going to be Chiefs at Patriots. So I see...
Okay, so we got the Patriots again.
We have the Patriots again.
Okay.
It's sticking along those same lines. However, this time I see Patrick Mahomes taking that W home. That guy's amazing, man.
Yeah, he did a lot of crazy things last year.
And realistically, he had a terrible game when they played in New England last year during the season, the first half. The second half, he came out, he was great. He just couldn't overcome all the mistakes that were made from the first half.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, we all know what Tom Brady represents. We all know what Bill Belichick represents. I just see this as being equal to or better than what we saw in the playoffs from them last year, what we saw in the regular season from them last year. This should be up there with those two games, and it should be actually better. I see that I think the NFL has opened the season with New England versus the Chiefs 2 of the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of those games have always turned out to be good.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we know what Tom Brady and Bill Belichick stand for, besides cheating, is winning Super Bowls.
Spygate.
And now Bill Belichick has another year to
deflate footballs.
Gather intel, wink, wink, watch film, wink, wink. And, I think they'll be ready, but I do think that is going to be an exciting game, especially if it plays out anything like it did last year. Like you said, too many mistakes to overcome early. Again, I think Mahomes' first real year was last year starting. And, it's hard to say, okay, hey, new guy, come in there, lead us to victory at Foxborough. It's not an easy task. Guys like Big Ben, who have been in the league for years, Peyton Manning, who had been in the league for years. Those are veterans that you think, hey, future Hall of Famers, in my opinion, for both of those guys. They've struggled up there in Foxborough. So it's a lot of weight to put on the shoulders of a first-year starter like that. And I think he showed that he's ready to go. I think it may be a different ball game this go around. Kareem Hunt being gone though, man, that's gonna kind of be something that they do have to overcome if they do want to win at Foxborough.
It's definitely going to be a game or a difference in the Chiefs' offense, especially if there's any penalties for Tyreek Hill also, as well as Kareem Hunt. But just to kind of touch base on this last game, I know we're running out of time. I see on your list last you have Saints at the Rams. What made you choose that game outside of the tomfoolery that happened last year?
Yeah, so you think Saints, you think Rams, and after last year's huge missed call debacle, that whole situation, that immediately turned this into a huge rivalry, man. You had the Rams who benefited. Here's the thing. They should have never let it get to that point where one call determines a game. But it did. You never want to leave the game in the hands of a referee.
I mean, let's be honest. The Saints had ample amount of opportunity to win that ball game.
There was still time after that blown call to win that game.
Let's not forget Drew Brees threw a pick.
Right. So, but everybody kind of goes back to, hey, there was a missed call there. But you had two teams, lots of firepower again, going back and forth up and down the field. I don't think there was a lot of defense played. When there was, it was illegal, but it didn't get called. But to me, you look at that and it's like, okay, I want to see what these guys go into that game with. Like, what kind of swag, what kind of attitude, Are the Saints going to come out there and be like, you know what? To hell with that. We got embarrassed last year. We got screwed last year. We're taking it to them. Are the Rams going to go in there and say, you know what? We beat them once. We can beat them again. Or are the Rams going to say, you know what? We're going to go in there. We're going to show everybody it wasn't a fluke. And we're going to put this team away early. Man, that's big time, bro. That's prime time football right there. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a game to watch, especially like you said after what happened last year. Let me ask you, can we get an early prediction?
You know what? I'm going to say the Saints are going to win that game.
Saints?
I have the Saints. You know what? They're on the road. I think they're playing in L.A.
Yeah.
But I still see the Saints winning that game. I think they have more to prove. I think they walk in with a bigger chip on their shoulder, and they're out there to make a statement. They're going to say, you know what? That should have been our at least chance at the Super Bowl. You screwed us out of it. We're going to make up for it this year. Plus, Drew Brees, love him to death. I don't care for the Saints as a team, but I love Drew Brees as a player. And I think, man, he's running short of time. He doesn't have that much time left. So they're definitely going to play hard for him to try to get him one last, at least, legit run at the Super Bowl before he does retire.
Yeah, I think I might have to roll with the Saints in that game as well, especially with what happened last year, them having that chip on their shoulder, coming out to say, hey, we were the better team. We should have won that game. And then the debacle of a no call happened.
Yeah.
But overall, man, I think that these 4 games, man, that we chose, I think they should be on everybody's must-watch list. Hopefully, we can see what the listeners have to say. See if they have any input. If you're a fan of another team, throw your game out there. We could talk about that.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing any feedback on that. Let us know what you guys think the game of the week or the game that we should watch should be. Like I said, with that Rams-Saints game, they changed the rule in the offseason, man. That's how big it was.
Yeah.
So, again, I think that's probably the biggest game to watch this year. Can't wait to hear what you guys say. We'll be back right after this with some more of the Shots Fired podcast. Wanted to just talk about crabs and something that...
What type of crabs?
Well, I'll tell you. Stick with me here. It's a moment to ramble. You told me something today that I've never heard in my life, and I kind of looked it up, trying to get the idea, try to get an understanding of what it was. You told me about people having a crabs in a bucket mentality or crabs in a barrel mentality, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When you told me that, man, I didn't get it. I didn't understand what the hell that meant. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? But after watching a couple videos on it and just kind of getting a better understanding, man, that's pretty deep stuff, man. You kind of have a mentality. Humans have this crab-like mentality, which is you're all in the same bucket together. And any one of those crabs can crawl out at any time. But what happens is when one crab starts to crawl its way out, all the other crabs in the bucket start pulling him down, pulling him down, pulling him down. Every time he's trying to make his way out, you have crabs pulling him down. And if he does it long enough, the other crabs actually get more aggressive and they cut his legs off so he can no longer climb. And I thought about it, and it made a lot of sense to me just with how people are these days. Because when you see somebody try something different, you see somebody succeed, you see somebody accomplish maybe a goal or a dream that you had, what's your first reaction? Is your first reaction, hey, congratulations, that's awesome, I'm happy for you? Or is your first reaction, why not me? I've been working for that. Why didn't I get that? That should have been me. I deserve that. That really hit me, man. Like that was, I see a lot of it, and it's. I've never heard that before, but it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, like you said, with humans, and how we tend to pull back people that are doing something that maybe they wanted to do, or that you wanted to do. And we see, like you said, what's your first reaction when you see somebody accomplishing their goals, and maybe it was a goal of yours? I do think we, just as people, we need to do better. We need to start supporting one another. We need to start holding each other, not like in a physical sense, but just like, holding that person down. Like if
you gotta elevate each other.
Yeah, like in a good way, holding,
Yeah, like you're down for somebody.
Yeah. So just with, especially like I can't speak for every community, but to kind of touch on like a race thing, it's definitely prevalent in the black community. You see a lot of people who venture off and start doing something. I think I gave you the example. We don't have an issue going to the mall, going into the Gucci store, spending tons of money, buying their products. But when somebody from your same community starts a clothing line, why don't you want to support that person?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So just like going through those situations, and I feel like we both deal with it, work-life balance in both aspects. So hopefully we can start doing better. I think it starts at the top because one, and I don't want to make it political, but you see that with the president too.
Yeah.
Hopefully, as people, we can start doing better, and we can start supporting one another. I'm definitely grateful that I'm able to do the show with somebody that's not from my community that can give me a different perspective on life, and hopefully you feel the same way.
Yeah,
it works both ways.
Yeah, we have a lot of conversations off the air that are charged like this. Like it's fun and games, but at the same time, we will have a serious conversation. And this one was something that I really felt we needed to share.
Right.
Like it really hit me. I'm very blessed and very thankful that with this venture, this podcast, I've had nothing but support from family and friends. I've had maybe one or two people that are like, I don't get it. I've had one or two people that have said, hey, I don't get it. But for the most part, it's been positive. There's people that every week they listen, they share the links, they promote the show for us. They're helping us grow it. It's been so much overall love and appreciation, and I cannot stress enough just how much that means to me. My sister, my mom and dad, they don't really listen, but they're always willing to hear about it. They're excited for me. My wife, my cousin, especially my cousin Vanessa, she's very big and into helping us out any way she can, and that's awesome. But you need to surround yourself with people like that. You need to surround yourself with people that are looking to elevate you and not necessarily be like, hey, what about me? It's okay to bring people along with you when you succeed, but you have to kind of put yourself in that mind frame of, when I'm trying to succeed, did that person hate on me? Did that person try to hold me down? No, you want to treat people like you want to be treated.
Right.
And when you have somebody that's constantly like, hey, you know what? Good job. Keep going. You're doing good. You're making the right, you're doing whatever you need to do to succeed. And they see that. That's awesome. Those are the people you don't forget when you do become successful and you do go on to greater things. And like I said, for me, family and friends, everybody's been supportive overall, and I just can't thank everybody enough. I don't know about you, like what you've had, but from what we've spoken, I've always heard you say, hey, it's been nothing but positive feedback for the most part.
Yeah, everybody, the majority of the people that I know, family, friends, I mean, of course, we have some people that just aren't supportive. Like I said, it's the crabs in a bucket thing is more prevalent in the black community. So there are some people that really aren't supportive, but I just try to focus on stick with it. It works out. And never quit. As long as you never quit, I feel like you'll be successful in whatever you do. And honestly, I'm all open for feedback and opinions. Obviously, because we put ourselves out there, we put our opinions out there, it opens the gate for other people to provide their opinion. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I need to follow their opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying? So
we're open to it.
Right.
You're more than willing to you're more than able to give us that feedback, and we'll take it. And what we do with it is our business. But you want to give your feedback, you want to give your 2 cents, go for it. Like you said, do we have to necessarily take it to heart? Do we have to use it? No. But that's the same thing with our podcast. Do you have to?
Right.
Do you have to listen to it? Do you have to,
right.
whatever? No, you don't. So, like I said, to me, this was big time. I think I put out a post earlier in the week that was like, what's worse than never realizing your dreams? What's worse is never having the courage to chase them down. Yep. To never try to get to that point where you are successful, where you do realize those goals and dreams. So for me, like I said, I appreciate everything. We really do hope that you take this word, that you use it in your day-to-day, that you take the time to tell somebody else, hey, congratulations, good job. It doesn't have to be us. Anybody, family, friends, just anybody that you see that's grinding every day, doing the work, take some time out and just say, hey, you know what? We appreciate that. We see what you're doing, and we know that you're just trying to better yourself, and we support you in that. I think that's the best thing to do to kind of, just make your life a better place.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need to start supporting one another and stop trying to get over people, you know what I'm saying, and get ahead of people. Like, it's all cool to want to be at the top, but support the people that support you and even support the ones who don't. I feel like the same energy that you put out in the world, that's the same energy that you receive back. And hopefully, this, like you said, this message reaches somebody, hits them a certain way, and we all take that step forward as far as progressing as humans, as people, and start supporting each other and stop all the hating on each other, just to put it bluntly.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's been our show, guys. We thank you so much for just taking the time to listen to this podcast wherever you listen to it. And we hope you tune in next week. Thank you so much.